When Daniel first discovered the library, it was by accident. He had taken a wrong turn on his way home, distracted by a notification on his phone, and ended up on a street he didn't recognize. The buildings were old and decrepit, their windows covered in grime, and a heavy fog clung to the air. At the end of the street, nestled between two crumbling brick buildings, was a small shop with no sign above the door. The windows were opaque with dust, but faint light glowed from inside. Curious, Daniel pushed the door open. A bell chimed softly as he stepped inside, and the scent of old paper and leather filled his nostrils. The room was vast, far larger than it should have been given the building's exterior. Rows upon rows of shelves stretched into the darkness, packed with books of every size and color. "Welcome," a voice said, startling him. Daniel turned to see an elderly man sitting behind a wooden desk. The man's skin was pale, his eyes sharp and gray. He wore a simple black suit, and his long fingers were steepled in front of him. "Who are you?" Daniel asked, glancing around. "I am the librarian," the man replied. "And this is the Library of the Lost." The librarian explained that the library was a place where every life was recorded. Each book on the shelves represented a person, chronicling their thoughts, memories, and experiences from birth to death. "Take a look," the librarian said, gesturing to the nearest shelf. Daniel pulled a book at random. Its cover was plain and unmarked, but when he opened it, he felt a strange tug, as if the words on the page were pulling him in. He saw a child's bedroom, filled with toys. A young boy sat on the floor, playing with a red truck. The scene shifted, and now the boy was older, sitting in a classroom, staring at a math test. Daniel snapped the book shut, his heart racing. It was like watching a movie, but more vivid, like he was there. "Careful," the librarian warned. "The books can be immersive." As he wandered the aisles, Daniel's curiosity grew. He found books about historical figures, complete with scenes from their private lives. He saw the struggles of ordinary people, their heartbreaks and triumphs laid bare on the pages. Then he found his book. It was tucked on a low shelf, its cover unremarkable. But when Daniel opened it, he felt a jolt. The first pages showed his childhood, his first steps, his 7th birthday, the time he broke his arm falling off a swing. Each moment was recorded with startling clarity. The librarian appeared at his side, his expression unreadable. "Be cautious," he said. "The future is written as well as the past." Daniel flipped ahead, unable to resist. He saw scenes of his future, a job he hadn't yet applied for, a woman he didn't recognize who would become his wife, a child's laughter echoing through a sunny yard. Then he turned to the final pages, and froze. The scenes grew darker. He saw himself standing in an alley, staring at a shadowy figure. He felt fear, cold and suffocating. The next image showed him lying on the ground, blood pooling around him. The last page was blank. "What does it mean?" Daniel asked, his voice shaking. "The future is not always set in stone," the librarian said. "But it is often difficult to change." Daniel slammed the book shut. "I don't want this. I didn't ask for this." "Few do," the librarian replied. "But now that you've opened your book, the library has claimed you." Daniel tried to leave, but the library wouldn't let him. Every turn brought him back to the same endless rows of shelves. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper. Desperate, he confronted the librarian. "How do I get out?" The old man regarded him with pity. "There is only one way." He gestured to Daniel's book. "Write your ending." The librarian handed Daniel a quill, its tip dripping with black ink. "Choose wisely," he said. "For once you write, the ink cannot be erased." Daniel hesitated, staring at the blank final page. His hands trembled as he thought of the shadowy figure, the blood, the fear. Finally, he wrote a single sentence: Daniel walked out of the library, free to live his life. The moment the ink dried, the room shifted. The shelves blurred, the shadows faded, and Daniel found himself standing outside, the fog lifting to reveal his familiar street. Relief flooded him, but as he walked home, something felt off. People passed him on the sidewalk, their faces blank, their movements jerky. When he reached his apartment, he realized why. On his bookshelf, where his favorite novels used to sit, was a single book, The Life of Daniel Carter. And when he opened it, the pages were empty. Daniel screamed, but no sound came out. His reflection in the window showed his face, pale, blank, and featureless. In the distance, the library's bell chimed again, welcoming its next visitor.